We'll wait for the presentation to start and we'll pin ourselves to the KitKat presentation. So the topic for today is sound. Um, there are many topics that we are going to deal today in the sound. Right from what is sound, how it is produced, what are the characteristics of sound, what is the uses. There are many topics that has to be discussed in today's class. So I want y'all to help me cooperate into this so that if you all don't understand, please wait till I ask you to ask your doubts. Okay. So we'll begin with our first slide. So basically, we hear. Hearing is one of the boons that we have got, and we are able to hear many things around us, right? That is because of the five senses that we have got. One of the senses is hearing. So just even if you're sitting normally in your house also, you can hear a lot of things. You can hear people talking in your house, you can hear water going somewhere, you can hear outside cars, traffic. So you can hear a lot of things in and around you. Okay, so hearing is something that we need to study, that why it is happening, what is the reason for it, and so on. Okay, so the why we are hearing is because of two things. Okay, basically it is because somewhere some sound is being produced, and secondly because your ear is also getting the sensation of hearing. So there are two parts because of which you are able to hear. Okay, because of that you say that sound is being created somewhere in the form of waves. We call that as sound waves. Okay, sound is created in form of waves, and sound is coming to your ears also. So there are two parts of hearing. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. What is sound? Sound is basically a form of energy. Okay, so sound is a kind of an energy. We studied all the types of energies. We did that in the class only. um, and one of the form of energy is sound. The sound is coming and it is producing a sensation of hearing in our ears. Okay, and this sound is something that is traveling in form of waves. So the sound travels in form of waves. It is a form of an energy. It is traveling in form of waves, and it comes. These waves are traveling and coming to our ears. So this is the three parts of the sound. Okay, so we're going to study these three parts, out of which a form of energy is what we just know. So that is like a detail. It's a form of an energy. It is coming to us in the hearing. It is coming to us in hearing. One part that we're going to study about the ear. Okay, and the second part we're going to study is the waveform that it is traveling. Okay, next slide. Now let's study first thing, what is sound. Okay, my voice is not clear.
Ma'am, it's a bit breaking, but I can still understand it.
Okay, hold on. Okay, now is it better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's study that production of sound. Okay, so basically sound is being produced because of vibration. Any kind of vibration will produce sound. Okay, so if for example you have a scale. Okay, you have a scale. That scale will be, if you take the scale and if you hit the scale, if the scale is half on the table and half outside the table, what will happen? The part that is outside the table, if you strike it with your hand, it will produce a sound. I'm very sure you must have tried it in the classrooms when there's no one in the classroom. You will take your scale and you'll put the scale half on the table and half outside the table, and when you strike it, you will hear a sound like zzz, you will hear that. Okay, that is what is because of vibration a sound is being produced. So any kind of vibration produces sound. Okay, sometimes some vibrations are very small because of which the sound does not reach to our ears. Okay, they will not reach to our ears, but all kind of vibrations are producing sound. Okay, so what do you call vibration? We had done the pendulum. We took the ball, the pendulum, the ball moved one position to and fro, right, from one end to the other end. That is what we called as vibration. When we studied conduction, we studied how the atom at the end, which is near the heat, is getting heated. Because of the heat, it gains energy, and because of that gain of energy, it is now vibrating, we say. So it is kind of, like those dolls come, those dolls which are round at the bottom, and then you just move it. What will happen? They will just go left right, like a TikTok, left right, and it'll come and it'll sit back again. Correct? So that is what is called as to and fro motion, or you also call it as back and forth motion. Okay, so this is a vibration. Any kind of vibration will produce sound. Any kind of vibration is going to produce sound. Okay, so wherever you have sound, you can see, you sometimes you can see vibration, sometimes you can't see vibration. For example, if you're hitting a drum, if you hit a drum, you can see that the drum membrane which is there, the flat membrane, it is going up and down. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't see it, depending on what is the material of that drum, depending on how big or how small your drum is. But if you have seen it, it's moving up and down, that drum, and that is producing sound. Best example, guitar strings. Guitar strings, no, we hit the guitar strings, so we are taking the guitar strings away from its position, goes back to its position. So that going out and coming back is causing vibration, which is producing sound. The right side, what is called as a tuning fork. This tuning fork is specifically that we use for sound experiments. So we get tuning fork of different materials, we get tuning fork of different densities, of different thickness. So all of those produce different type of sound. Okay, so this is tuning fork is what we use to produce sound and to experiment with sound. If you can see that tuning fork has been hit somewhere and see it's vibrating, so you can see the movement, you can see the movement, you can see the slight movement of the tuning fork in light colors. Okay, so that is what is vibration. Okay, so anytime production of sound is by vibration. Okay, so you can try this. You can take um, a scale, you can take a scale, put it half on the table, put it half outside the table, and try to hit it. Okay, try to hit it. You will be able to see that is vibrating, and because of that vibration, you can hear the sound. Okay, next. Now, propagation of sound. Very big word, propagation. Okay. Why do we say propagation? It means the passage of sound. The way the sound is passing somewhere. That is called as propagation. The way the sound is traveling. It is called as propagation. Okay. A lot of times we say propaganda. So we say that what things are being passed. Okay, propagation means something that has to go from one place to the other. That traveling is what is called as propagation. Now, sound is being propagated from wherever it is being produced. So, wherever it is being produced, from that place to wherever the sound is being heard. I told you sound has two parts. One is production and one is hearing. Production we saw it is because of vibration. Hearing will happen in a ear. Now that place from where it is being produced to where it is being heard, that that movement is what is called as propagation of sound. Okay. Now see what will happen. Okay. Now here you can see that the speaker is there. Okay. The speaker is vibrating. You can see the speaker vibrating. Okay. A lot of times speaker when it is on very high volume, the speaker the net over the speaker, you can see it moving. You can see it, vibrating. Okay. Now that vibration is causing a vibration in the molecules that are next to the speaker. Now, which are the molecules next to the speaker? The air molecules. So basically, what is in between the speaker and your ears? The air molecules. You all know how the air molecules are. Gas molecules, so they are like slightly far apart from each other. Correct? So what will happen is the vibration from the speaker is passed to the vibration of the air molecules. Those air molecules will vibrate with the similar energy that it received from the speaker. Now once one molecule in that is vibrating, the other one next to it will get the vibration once that to and fro is happening. So it's like a kind of like a passing the parcel game. Okay. So from the speaker, the person next to the speaker got the energy. He took the energy and he passed it to the next one. That way, that thing will keep on going on and on till it reaches the last molecule that is near the ear. And from the ear, it will go to the eardrum and it will go into our brains and we can sense that sound. Okay, so this is called as propagation of sound. Whenever a vibrating is moving, the vibration will happen through the particles that are in that medium. So this is what we are calling as medium. When I say medium, I mean whether the sound is being produced, where the sound is being produced, what is it surrounded by? Is it surrounded by solid molecules? Is it surrounded by liquid molecules? Is it surrounded by gas molecules? How can you say solid molecules? For example, you are hitting the scale that I told you on the table. So that table is going to be your solid medium. Okay. If supposing some sound is happening in the water, then it would be called a liquid medium next to it. Okay. If it is happening in the air, basically in the air, so then you call it as a gas medium. Okay. So this is what we call as a disturbance is created. So from the place where the sound is being produced, a disturbance is created in the medium next to it. You can see very well in the GIF how the sound that is producing is creating a disturbance in those molecules. So we have shown a very limited number of molecules. We've not shown many molecules. A very limited number of molecules are shown. So you can see how those molecules, there is a passage of that vibration created from the speaker is going from left side to right side. Correct? That is what you call as propagation of sound. Mind you, the molecules are not moving. They are just vibrating. So they are not changing their position. Okay, they are just vibrating in their position to and fro. Like that doll I'm talking about, the doll, with that round one. How they gonna, like, they'll go left, they'll go right, they'll come back to their position. They'll go left, they'll go right, they'll come back to their position. Okay, so this is what is called as propagation of sound. So we did production
Ma'am,
of
can you
sound
please
because of
not change?
vibration. Huh?
Ma'am, can you please not change the slides? I'm noting it down.
Slide what you said?
Ma'am, can you please not change the slide? I'm noting it down.
You don't need to do that. You can see the recorded portion afterwards on the website. There you can aram se sit and write. Okay.
Okay,
I'll
ma'am.
need to change the slide whenever I finish the explanation because there are many slides that I need to complete today. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is called as your propagation of sound. So you started with production of sound. You went to propagation of sound. Okay. Now next. Okay, any questions here?
No, ma'am.
Is
No, ma'am.
production and propagation both clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next.
Yes, ma'am.
Next. Now we'll talk about the medium. Okay. I told you whatever the sound is surrounded by,
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
Ma'am left the meeting.
Oh.
okay. Uh, so whatever the material is surrounded by, that is called as a medium. Okay. The material is propagating the sound from wherever sound is being produced. Okay. What is very important is, as I told you, how is sound propagated? Because of vibration of the molecules. Okay. Now I want you all to think and tell me. You all are going to think and tell me if, for example, sound is being produced in a solid medium. Okay, the solid molecules are vibrating. Okay, sound is produced in a liquid medium, they are also vibrating. Sound is produced in a gas medium, they are also vibrating. Tell me, if sound is produced in vacuum, what will happen? I want anyone to answer.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
ma'am, sound cannot travel in in a vacuum. Ma'am, it
Yeah, but
won't
why?
produce any sound. Ma'am,
ma'am,
because
because
there's
Why?
no
no
molecules.
molecule will
Ma'am, there's
vibrate.
no molecules to travel.
Exactly. There are no molecules only. If there are no molecules only, how will it vibrate? Correct? So this point is very important and I'm very glad you all have understood. Sound can travel only in a medium. That is why in space, all the big explosions and whatever is happening is not reaching, that sound is not reaching us. Why it is not reaching to us? Because that sound is happening in vacuum and that sound cannot come to us because vacuum is not able to propagate that sound. Okay, so sound cannot travel in a vacuum. For that we do a bell jar experiment. What do? It's like a bell is kept in a jar, okay, which is filled with air. Slowly you remove the air using a pump. Using a vacuum pump, you remove the air completely. So what will happen is that as and when the air is removed, the sound will keep on going slower and slower and lower and lower, and finally there will be a point when there will be no sound. Okay, so this is one experiment that we do to prove that sound cannot travel in vacuum. It will travel only to solids, liquids and gases. Okay, so any type of a wave that requires a medium to propagate is called as a mechanical wave. So sound is a type of a mechanical wave. Now tell me one thing. Uh, the the light from the sun is coming to us, right? In that is also coming in form of waves. The light from the sun is also coming to us in the form of wave. Is light a mechanical wave? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, because light does not need any type of
No,
medium
it is.
to propagate.
Yes. Yes. So light is not requiring any type of medium, and so you say light is not a mechanical wave. Okay? Light is an electromagnetic wave. It's called EMR, electromagnetic radiation. We studied the entire light. We studied the entire range. We have the visible range. Above the visible range, we have the ultraviolet range. The ultraviolet range, we have got the UV range, the X-ray. That entire range of light that is there is called as the electromagnetic range. Okay. Uh, so light is also traveling in form of waves. Okay, but it is not requiring medium. Sound, as opposed to that, requires a medium and is called as a mechanical wave. Next. So if we compare the propagation of sound through gas, liquid, and solid. Okay. Now tell me, you are going to tell me, think and tell me, sound is going to travel more faster in solids, liquids, or gases?
Ma'am, gases. Because the density is less, ma'am.
Ma'am, the gaseous.
Ma'am, in the solids, because molecules can propagate the sound faster because they're closer to each other. That's why solid.
Ma'am, not gases. Ma'am, liquids.
Okay,
Ma'am,
the
no, ma'am, it's
answer of solids is correct, and the reasoning is also correct, because there are more molecules. It is faster. Okay, in gases there are less molecules, so it will take more time to reach from one end to the other. So propagation of sound through solids is faster, liquids little less faster, and gas is very less. Okay, this is how it goes. Solids sound propagates faster, liquids lesser, and gases very less. Okay. uh, Example of uh, solid, I'm going to give you a few examples to try it. Okay, what do you do is, you must be having a wooden table. Okay, what you all are going to do, you all are going to take some key or something, and anything that can make a sound, that can make a tuck tuck sound, or you can basically do it with your nails also. So just stay standing, okay, and just hit the table and see what kind of sound you get. Now this, when you were hitting and when you got the sound propagated how? Through which medium the sound propagated?
Ma'am, solid.
Solid.
No, no.
ma'am, air. Gas.
Air, no, it was being produced in the solid,
Ma'am,
but the
gas.
propagation through your ears came through
Gas.
the gas. Correct? Now the next time when you try it, you all are going to put your ears on the table and try it. And you tell me the difference that you get in the sound. Is it more louder? Is it more better? Or is it lesser? Try it. Whoever tried it right now.
Ma'am, it's
Ma'am, it is
louder.
Put your ears
It's louder.
better and
Ma'am, it
louder.
is
So you
better.
saw the propagation was better in solids because the sound was propagating through the solid. When your ears were on the table, the propagation was happening. The production was also on the solid, and the propagation was also through the solid. But when you are sitting upright state, the production was on the solid, but the propagation was through the air. Okay, so air, it will take lesser, the speed is lesser, it will take more time, and the quality also will be different of the sound as compared to the solid.
So, ma'am,
Okay.
Ma'am, ma'am, it's like
Yes.
it's like this. If we hit the key on the table and we are in the normal position and our ear is not on the table, we will hear it a bit lower, ma'am, because there is some air between us and the table, and when and when we put our ear on the table,
Between the table and your ear. Between the table and the ear.
yes,
And your ear. EAR, ear. Hmm? Yes. And next?
but ma'am, when we put our ear on the table, ma'am,
Hmm.
ma'am, the sound comes louder, ma'am, because there's no air between the table and our ear.
Air, no. Because the sound is propagating directly through your solid only. It is passing through the molecule of the table. Air to is there above. Okay. But your ear is also on the table and the production of the sound is also on the table. And it is propagating, it is passing through the molecules of the table.
Okay, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, Dhyan Shekhar is muting us when we ask questions.
Yes, please stop muting others because I have told you all not to write anything. So I'm giving the permission to whoever is asking questions in between. Please don't mute others, okay? Okay, so basically sound traveling through gases, that is sound traveling through air, we know a lot of examples. Everything right now, when two people are talking, when you are talking to your parents, you are talking, you are producing sound, and your parents are hearing it through the air. Okay, basically like that. A bell ringing or some sound that you're hearing from the outside the window, some vehicle, that would be propagation through gas. Propagation through solid would be like when you're hitting drum or something, or what I just told you all to do. Okay. And propagation of sound through the water would be uh, sonar. Sonar is a way by which the sailors can detect uh, obstruction below the sea. Okay, I'll be doing that in detail a little bit later on. But sonar is a way of detecting how low the bed, the seabed is. Okay, by using sound. Okay, so this
Ma'am,
is
ma'am, I
examples of sound. Hmm?
ma'am, I have a question. Can sound
Yes.
only be produced by vibration?
Yes, only by vibration. Sound
Okay,
is
ma'am.
produced only by vibration. The itself, the existence of sound is because of vibration. Okay, next. Okay, so this is exactly what you all did on the right side. Okay, you put your ears on the table. Now can you see this girl, what she has done to a spoon? She has tied a thread. Okay, she has tied a thread, the thread, and that thread is wound on the two fingers, on the two index fingers. You will do this after the presentation is over, okay, at your home. Now what do is, now you take that spoon and just hit it on the table. Okay, just hit it on the table. Let the fingers be in the air and hear the sound. Next, what you do is now put those fingers inside your ears, like how we close our ears. Okay. Now you'll put those fingers inside the ears and then you strike the spoon on the table and see the difference of what you hear in the sound. Okay. So first time you'll take the spoon as it is with the thread in position wound around your fingers, both the fingers, index fingers, pointing fingers, and let those fingers be in the air and just hit the spoon on the table. Okay. Next time you're going to put the fingers in your ear, like how we close our ear, and then you're going to hit it and strike it on the table. Now hear the sound. Okay. So this you are going to do and tell me tomorrow what do you hear. Okay. Next. Any
Ma'am,
questions related to solid?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question. Let's say I have a longer table and someone spoke it at one end and I'm hearing it at one end with my ear to the table. It will be softer at that time than that. We both are closer and he hits on the table.
Obviously, very much obvious, no? If you're closer, the sound will be much more. If you're farther, the sound will be much lesser. Definitely, no?
And the second thing, if I cut the table in half and keep half over here, half over there, then will the sound go through the first table and then the air, then back to the second table and come to my ears?
Depends on the sound produced. How much sound is there? If the sound is well enough to pass through the air, it will pass. And if it is not well good enough, the vibration is not good enough to let it last on the through the air, it will die out there only.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, next. Okay, now talking about the wave. Okay, understand what is a wave. It's very difficult to understand. I want you all to understand this concept. Wave is basically a disturbance that is created in any medium. Okay, or basically not in a medium. Basically, it is a disturbance because of in the energy. Okay, that is transferred from one point to the other. You can also call it as a disturbance. You can also call it as a phenomenon. Okay, example, you say heat wave. We just spoke about light waves. We spoke about sound waves. All these energies, they are traveling in form of waves. Okay, waves are of two types. One wave is called as a transverse wave. One wave is called as a longitudinal wave. If in the transverse wave, the above the video you can see, the wave is traveling up and down, up and down. So what is the direction? The direction of propagation is from left side to right side. The, the wave is traveling from left end to right end, correct? So it is like it is sleeping position. But the movement of the wave is going up and down. So it is like you are traveling perpendicular to the wave. You're going up and you're coming down. You know what is perpendicular meaning, right? 90 degrees. So you're traveling up. So the wave is traveling in sleeping position. You are traveling up and down, up and down. This kind of a wave is what we called as transverse wave. Okay, when the positioning of the particle is changing perpendicular to the position of the direction of the wave. The direction of the wave is going left to right, but the particles are going up and down, perpendicular. If you see a longitudinal wave, the longitudinal waves are like compression and rarefaction. Means at one position they are concentrating, okay? Now they are concentrating, now immediately now they are becoming rarefaction. So now they are going away from each other. That is being carried further on the right side. Now again they will be compressed and relaxed, compressed and relaxed, compressed and relaxed. So that compression is compressed is what we call as compression, and relaxation is what we call as rarefaction. So there are two types of travels. One is if you are traveling perpendicular, it is called as transverse wave. If you're traveling in the direction of the wave, then you call it as a longitudinal wave. Okay, and as I told you, some waves don't require any medium, like your electromagnetic waves, your light. Okay, all the types of light waves will not require any kind of medium. Okay, is this two parts clear? Transverse and longitudinal. Okay, transverse and longitudinal. Okay, remember this because this is going to come everywhere wherever we go. Everywhere where we'll go, this will be repeating. Okay, next. Okay, now here we are talking about, we are comparing how the see, sound is traveling in a longitudinal manner. Okay, sound is traveling, we saw in the speaker also, sound is traveling in a longitudinal manner. Now if I want to talk related to any features of sound, I need to draw it on a map. Okay, if I want to draw it on a map, I can't draw it in the longitudinal form. I can't basically keep on doing that compression rarefaction again and again. So for me to draw anything on the graph, I need to put it in the form of a transverse wave. Like you must have seen the heartbeat is also given on a graph in a transverse wave. The heartbeat goes up and down, up and down, up and down, right? You must have seen it sometimes. It is called as an ECG. In that ECG, you must have seen it in pictures also a lot many times. They show it on the screen. The heartbeat going up and down, up and down. So what
Yes,
are we
ma'am.
doing? We are comparing the compression. Now the compression is where you can see on the upper part, the place where all the molecules have got very stuck to each other. So they've got compressed. Okay. Now that compression is what we are representing in the form of the upside of the wave in the transverse. Okay. That transverse upside of the wave is what we call as crest. We call it as crest. So the compression is being represented as a crest. Okay, understood? So you can see wherever the compression is following, there is a crest below it. Can you see that in the video? Wherever there is a
Yes, ma'am.
compression, there is a crest following. Okay. Now, wherever there is a rarefaction, means when the particles that were compressed are now getting relaxed, wherever there is a rarefaction, that is being represented by a downward curve. So that downward curve is what we call it as a trough. Okay. So in the longitudinal wave, you've got two parts. You say compression and rarefaction. In the transverse wave, you call two parts. The compression is represented by a crest and the rarefaction is represented by a trough. So whenever I'm talking about a crest in sound, you call it to be as your compression that was happening as the sound was getting propagated. Okay. So for example, let's take the ball, the passing the parcel example. The ball, when it is in your hand, you are getting compressed because the ball, that is the energy that was given to you, is in your hand. So you are compressing it, right? You're catching it with your hand. So that is your compression. Okay, now you pass that energy to the next person next to you. Till the position, till when you were in compression, the person who was next to you was relaxed. So he was in rarefaction. Correct? So now you pass it to the next person, the energy or the ball. Now when the ball is passed to the next person, he will now come in compression. What will happen to you? What will happen to you?
Ma'am, we will be relaxed.
You will be relaxed. You will be in the rarefaction position. Is this clear? Is it going too much above the head?
No, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I didn't
Everyone?
understand. Ma'am, I didn't understand.
Okay. You know the passing the parcel game? You'll all
Yes,
know the
ma'am.
passing the parcel game, correct? When the ball comes to you, you come in attention position. Why? Because the ball is in your hand. You don't want it to fall down, correct? Now what do to it? You'll pass
We
the
could.
ball to the person who is next to you, correct? So what is happening is, whenever the ball is coming to you, you are getting compressed. When the ball is going to the next person, you are getting relaxed. So you are passing the energy from one end to the other, and in that passing the energy, this entire wave is going to pass like a compression and a rarefaction, like a uh, uh, like a compressed and a relaxed form. That energy is going to go from left hand to right hand. It is going to propagate from one end to the other, and in that entire process, one part is going to get compressed. Now that compression will turn into rarefaction, that is relaxation, and it will be passed to the next molecule. Now that next molecule will again be in compression. It will pass that energy to the molecule next to it, and it will again become relaxed, the second molecule. Now the third molecule has got it. So the third molecule is in compression form, and it will be passed to the fourth molecule. So now the third molecule has come back to the rarefaction or the relaxed form. Understood?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
can you explain one last thing? What is crest and trough? Ma'am, I couldn't understand that.
What is crest and trough? Okay. The below part, can you see the transverse? The above one, you can see the video, is the longitudinal wave. Okay. Correct? The below part that you can see is called as the transverse wave. If, for example, I take a string, two people are catching the string, like the tug of the war, and if one person gives a wave on one end, what will happen to that entire wave? It will be passed to the other person who is catching the string on the other end. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Yes. Yes. So that movement that is being passed is what is you call that the wave is getting propagated. Okay. So now, whenever the wave is going up, you call it as a crest. You see a crest of the mountain. You see a crest of the mountain. And when the wave is going down, you call it as a trough. So crest is the upper part of the wave and trough is the lower part of the wave.
Okay, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now for us to draw sound waves travel in longitudinal form. For us to draw sound waves on graph, I can't draw it in the longitudinal form. Can you draw rarefaction and compression on a graph?
No, ma'am.
Can we draw it? Can we draw it on graph? Come on, everyone answer.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Are, are you all sleeping?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I am going to represent my longitudinal wave in the form of transverse wave. And to represent in the transverse wave, I have taken that whenever there is a compression, I will represent it with a crest. Whenever there is a rarefaction, I will represent it as a trough. So I'm converting my longitudinal form into my transverse form for my convenience. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone has doubt up till here?
Ma'am, sound travels in longitudinal wave, right?
Yes. Okay, this slide is clear. I'll move to the next slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are studying the properties of sound. Now, whenever I talk about sound, I will say certain words. You all need to understand the definition of those words. Okay. So the maximum compression that is happening, or the maximum distance that the sound is traveling. Now, forget the longitudinal. Now we are describing everything of sound in terms of transverse wave. Okay. So if you can see from the sleeping line, that is called as your x-axis. Okay. From your x-axis, the sound that has gone up. So the distance between the x-axis and the highest point on that crest. Okay. So let's say when you have drawn the curve, I say the highest point on the curve is 5 centimeters. So the distance from your x-axis to your highest point, that is that 5 centimeter, that maximum distance traveled will be called as the amplitude. Amplitude is the maximum distance that the wave is traveling. Okay, for example, when we took the pendulum, straight, then what did we do? We took the pendulum ball right on one end and then we left it. So that maximum distance that we went, the highest point, that is called as the amplitude. So the maximum distance the wave is traveling is called as the amplitude. What did I say? Amplitude is the maximum distance. So what will be the unit for amplitude? What will be the
Kilometer.
Meter.
Meter or kilometer?
Yes, meters. Meters, yes, meters, kilometers, micrometers, all the distance units will come into the picture of your amplitude. So it is the amplitude is the maximum distance traveled by the molecule. That will be your amplitude. Okay. Now I am meaning a wavelength. What do you mean by a wavelength? Okay. We saw that there is one compression and one rarefaction taking place. One compression and one rarefaction taking place. This is one cycle. Okay, or if you take the longitudinal wave, there is one compression, there is one, in the longitudinal wave, you will say one compression, one rarefaction. That we are representing in the transverse wave as one crest and one trough. So the distance on the x-axis, okay, the distance on the x-axis between the point where the compression is starting. So where that circle is given, where it's written cycle start point on the left hand side, that is the distance of the start, and from there it is traveling all the way till the rarefaction ends. That is the cycle end point. This distance on the x-axis, let's say it is 10 centimeters. That distance will be called as the wavelength. So wavelength is one crest and one trough. One crest and one trough. If my wavelength was smaller, it was only 5 centimeters, then what would happen is my crest was starting at 0 and my trough was ending at 5 centimeters. So that is the wavelength. So now if I am talking about the wavelength of the light waves, like I was telling y'all, if you all remember, I was telling y'all the wavelength of the waves above the visible range, means the visible range starts from VIBGYOR, okay, that VIBGYOR, so it starts from V, that is violet. Before violet comes the ultraviolet rays, the X-rays, the gamma rays, the beta rays, and all of those. There the wavelength is very small, means this compression and rarefaction is very, very near to each other. They are very, very near to each other. And if I talk about the wavelength of the waves after the VIBGYOR range, that is after red, that would be infrared waves, microwaves, then radio waves, radio waves. Those radio waves have a wavelength of many, many kilometers. So imagine your radio waves wherever it is starting from the place where that radio transmission is starting, that one crest and one trough will be approximately, let's say if it is 1 kilometer, so it will be 1 kilometer of that one crest and one trough. Okay, and the wavelength of your X-rays or UV rays will be very, very small, probably 0.1 millimeter, nanometer also, depending on how intense your waves are. Understood the wavelength concept? Is amplitude and
Yes, ma'am.
wavelength clear? Is amplitude and wavelength clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Also, amplitude is the highest point where the in ma'am, everyone is muting me. Is the highest point that it has reached in a transverse wave, and wavelength is the whole length of the sound
Yes,
that
I
it
am.
has traveled.
Yes, I am. That's exactly what I said. Okay. Now frequency. Okay. Now when I talk about frequency,
Okay.
I mean that in a particular time period, how many of such wavelength has occurred? So if supposing I take for example, I'm taking one minute. Okay. So I will say in 1 minute, how many of such crest and trough have occurred? So if so many crest and trough occurring in a minute were 10, so my frequency will be 10. If all of these occurring would be in, for example, say 100, there were 100 of such crest and trough occurring, the frequency will be 100. So the unit of amplitude and wavelength is going to be like distance, but for frequency, the concept of frequency was discovered by a special scientist whose name was Hertz. 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 Okay. Hertz. Hertz. So
Ma'am, what's
the
the
unit
unit name?
the unit for the frequency is also called as Hertz. Okay, Hz it is written. Okay. Ulta of frequency will be your time period. The ulta means the reciprocal. Whatever your frequency is, 1 divided by that will be your time period. Okay. And velocity is how fast your wave is going. So velocity is like speed. We saw na speed and velocity as scalar and vector quantities. So velocity is nothing but the speed. So we have got speed is how many are happening in how much time. That will be your velocity. Okay, we'll see this again next slide. So the maximum distance the particle is traveling will be called as the amplitude. It is denoted by A, amplitude A, and the SI unit would be meters, M. Wavelength is the distance between two adjacent crest or two adjacent trough. Or you can also say the distance between the first crest up to the trough is also called as wavelength. And a very special word is used to denote it. It is called as lambda. Lambda. Okay. It is, you can see how it is written lambda. Okay. The unit for wavelength is also written as meters. Frequency, I told you, here we are taking frequency per second. In a second, how many such crest and trough are occurring? That would be your frequency, which is also denoted by the symbol nu. It is written here, it is showing V, but it is slightly in a italic form. So you write it in a italic form. The word pronounced would be new, N-U, new. And the frequency unit would be hertz, Hz, hertz. Okay. And the time period is how much time you're taking to complete one vibration. So that one crest and one trough. One crest and one trough, how much time you're taking to complete. That is called as the time period. Okay. You can also write it as a reciprocal of frequency. So time period can be also written as reciprocal of 1 upon nu. Okay. And since it is time period, the unit for it would be seconds. Next. Now we're talking about the speed or the velocity. Whenever I talk about speed or velocity, the speed will be the true distance, how much time it took. Like we calculated, no, the speed of the ball. We'll calculate the speed of the ball in the lab when we were doing it. So you traveled how much distance it took divided by how much time it took. Correct? So that same way you're going to find the velocity of sound also. If you see the velocity of sound in steel, okay, it is written as 5,941 meter per second square. In water, it is written as 1842 meter per second square. In air, the speed is very less, 300. So can you see how we came to the point? Solids, the speed is much more, liquids little bit lesser, and gases, the speed is very, very less. You can see the speeds in most of the solids are giving here on the right side. See in rubber how much it is, in lead, in gold, glass, copper, aluminium, and as compared to that you can see it in air also. So air you will see it as 343 and 355. Air, the speed is given at two different temperatures. Why is it so? Temperature also affects the speed. Please can you explain why? Who will give me an
Ma'am,
explanation how temperature?
ma'am, because of high temperature, there will be less dense, and so sound will not travel as fast. But if the temperature is cooler, the particles will be closer to each other, that can transfer sound faster.
Correct, correct. So when the temperature is very high, we studied, no, that the particles will get more far from each other. If they are more further from each other, the transmission, that is the propagation of sound, will be slower. But if the temperature is lesser, what will happen? The particles are more closer to each other, so the transmission will be faster. So, besides considering solid liquid gases, even temperature is also affecting the transmission of sound. Very good example, when normally you are if you stay at a distance, you know, like a good distance from the railway station, say like within a 4-5 kilometer range, for example, during the day you won't be able to hear the sound of the trains or the whistle of the trains, because during the day the temperature is much higher. In the early mornings, when the temperature is very cold, sometimes you can hear the sound of the railways. Has anyone experienced this?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
So next
Ma'am, I
time,
didn't
next,
understand how it
Ma'am, your
affects.
voice is breaking.
Ma'am, I didn't understand
my
how the
voice,
temperature affects the speed of sound.
we studied, no, temperature. As the temperature is more, what happens to the molecules of the particles? They become more far, no, from each other as the temperature is increasing. See, this all goes to that molecular concepts that we have done. Everything starts from there. Okay, when the molecules, the temperature is higher, the molecules are little bit far away from each other. So if they are little bit far away from each other, what will happen is uh, the propagation of sound will be lesser. If the temperature is little bit lower, the molecules are slightly closer to each other. So the propagation can happen much faster. Simply like how you're comparing solid liquid gas. In solid, the molecules are very close to each other. So the propagation is faster. In liquids, they're a little bit far. So the propagation, the speed of sound is little bit slower. But in gases, the molecules are very far from each other. So for them to pass the energy from one end to the other end will take time. Let's imagine if you are in a passing the parcel game, you all are very close to each other. You can pass the ball faster, right? If you're slightly far off from each other, it'll take you time to take the ball and make the person reach the person who is next to you. If you're really very far, like you're really far, like 2-3 distances far, 2-3% distances far from each other, you will have to go to take the ball from one person. You'll have to go and give the ball to the next person. So it will take time, right? So that same way, when the temperature is higher, the molecules are far from each other, so the propagation will happen slower. But if the temperature is lower, the molecules are closer to each other, so the propagation will be faster. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What happens, no? See, there are almost 20 people in the class, okay? I can hear only 1 or 2 people replying. Are others not getting, or they are just sleeping, or they are just attending it, the class? See, again, no answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide. No questions up till now, I'm very sure. Whatever questions you all have asked, you all have asked, right? Or is there any
Yep,
questions?
ma'am.
Tell me. Okay, next slide. I spoke about speed of sound. Speed of sound depends on the medium, that's solid, liquid, gases. In solid, it is fastest because of the proximity, how close the molecules are as compared to gases. Okay.
Ma'am, what is
Sound,
the meaning of proximity?
how close you are, to each other. Okay. uh, Sound wave also is affected by the density also. So if supposing sound wave, you all are going to tell me which is more dense, oil is more dense or water is more dense?
Ma'am, water.
Ma'am, water.
Okay, so sound will travel faster through water or through oil?
Oil.
Oil. Water. Ma'am, water.
Water, more the density, more
Water.
faster the speed of sound. Okay, I explained you all the temperature also. Even elasticity also depends of the medium, how elastic the medium is. Okay, so this is about the sound of the speed of the sound. Okay, next. Now there are three characteristics of sound. One is loudness, one is pitch, and one is quality. That is also called as timbre. Okay. Loudness will tell you whether a sound is very loud or whether it is very low. Means whether it is soft or whether it is loud. Whenever I'm talking about loudness, what feature I'm talking about the sound? I'm talking about the amplitude of the sound. Can you see the amplitude in the sound, in the
Yes, ma'am.
soft wave? The amplitude of that particle traveling is up to some distance. But if you see in the loud wave, the amplitude is almost double than it. Okay. So when
Ma'am, due to the
the
height,
amplitude,
right?
yes. So when the sound is soft, so if supposing I'm speaking like this, hello, how are you? Fine, thank you. So that is my soft voice. There my amplitude was less. When I talk about loud voice, so I'm speaking very loud, correct? There my amplitude becomes very high. Okay, so whenever I talk about loudness, I'm speaking about the amplitude. Okay. Now pitch. Pitch means frequency. See, here you'll understand the frequency concept very well. In the first picture, how many waves are there where it is shown low?
Ma'am, 4.
How many waves are there?
Ma'am, 4.
How many waves are how many waves are there? Okay, you answer.
Ma'am,
Somebody else answer. Come on.
3 or 4.
4 waves.
In the first
Ma'am, 4
the
waves.
first where it is written
Two.
the first the first
Ma'am, two waves. Two waves. Ma'am,
two waves are there. Only two waves are there. See it properly again. One crest and one trough is one wave. I told you one wave is one crest and one trough. So one wavelength. So there is one wavelength and there is two wavelengths in the low one. Now see how many wavelengths are there in the high one.
Ma'am, 6.
Ma'am, 6.
Yes. So frequency is low in the first one. Frequency is high in the second one.
ma'am,
Correct? Understood the frequency concept?
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I even have a piano. So this is low and this is higher. If you can hear my piano.
Okay. So we will have pitch of a sound. So we normally say the pitch of woman is high and the pitch of men is low. Okay, that is how God has made the vocal cords inside our this. The pitch of woman is normally higher. The pitch of men is normally low. Okay, pitch. You're talking about pitch. You always describe frequency. Now you see the third type. Third type is quality. Okay. Third type quality, when I'll come to it, when I'll discuss it, it is normally upon how clear a sound is. Okay, you say sometimes that, ma'am, there's a disturbance in your voice. So there's some other frequency that is getting mixed. So if you see the first one is clear wave, in the second one the wave is not very clear. There is too much disturbance in that wave. Okay, so when people who are studying sound, they will come to know in the quality of sound we speak about tones, overtones, harmonics. We speak about all those kind of concepts. Okay, I'll come to that. Hold on. So basically, if you're able to distinguish two sounds having same loudness and same pitch, means your upper two characteristics are same and still those two sounds are different. The upper two features are same, still the sound is different, is what you will call as the quality. Okay, so three characteristics of sound: loudness depending on amplitude, pitch depending on the frequency. Okay, first we'll go on the loudness. In the loudness, we are seeing how much energy is coming to our ears. So if you can see the first picture, how the bird is speaking, and that speaking sound is coming in that wave travel. See how it is traveling. Now in the second picture, you can see how much it is speaking, how loudly, and that amplitude is also more, and that will reach that so much energy will reach our waves. So basically, it is how much energy is coming to your ears. Okay, loudness is detected by a special unit called as decibel. Okay, decibel, dB it is called. Okay, there is a certain decibel that we can hear. Below that decibel we can't hear. Okay, and there's a certain decibel that we can what you call resist. That much pain we can resist. More than that pain you cannot resist. Okay, then you will become uh, you'll go, what do you call,
I'm deaf.
deaf. Yes, you'll go deaf. Thank you. You'll go deaf. Okay, after that. So basically, it is after 180 to 200 decibels that you cannot hear. So you say no, those ultrasonic sonic uh, rockets traveling and aircrafts traveling, there's that particular sound that you cannot hear. So even in sometime when there are loudspeakers also going, that certain level that you can hear, after that it becomes too much loud and it start paining in your ears. So we have a chart in between. There is a chart. If you can see the chart, you'll be able to see how the different decibel sounds are there. Okay, so whispering is like 20 decibels. Phone ringing is somewhere around 50 to 60 decibels. Okay, a car is around 90 decibels. The maximum threshold of frequency would be around 140, 150. There is a very nice, since you all are exposed to so much of uh, technology, you all can download a app called as Decibel Meter. Okay, there are many apps, many apps. Whichever you feel good, you can just download that app. Okay, after downloading that app, go near to different sounds. You can speak. You see how much decibel it'll calculate the decibel that you're speaking. Okay, if you want, you can switch on your TV and you can put it really loud. See how much decibel it is going. Okay, I have tried it in a theater also. It does not go more than 120, because if it was more than 120, then it would hurt your ears. Okay, so definitely theater, the sound is more. That does not mean that the decibel is more. Okay, they must be doing some other technology. I'll come to that later on. Okay,
Ma'am,
for this
every day
experiment.
a helicopter comes above our society, so there is like a lot of noise through it because, ma'am, there are some like 10-20 kilometers of our height.
Okay, so what you can do is you can take basically an empty box, like how in the right side it is shown. Okay, and you can put grains. You have to put a balloon over it. So you'll take a balloon, so your membrane will be a rubbery, stretchy elasticity membrane. Okay, you can put that on your box. Okay, like how it is shown, the blue color or the green color. Okay, on that you can put rice grains. Okay, and now try to hit it slowly. So you'll see that those grains will go slightly higher, come back to the position. Now hit it more harder. You'll find it's going more higher. Hit it more harder. It will go more higher. So that higherness that is going is your amplitude. Okay, that little higher went was less amplitude, middle amplitude when you hit it little bit harder. When you hit it very hard, it is going really up and down. Okay, so you do this experiment also at home if you have the supplies. Okay, next.
Okay, ma'am.
In
Now
a
we'll
note was
talk
written
about the
rocket launch has 180 decibels.
hmm, okay. Now we'll go to the pitch. Pitch is what you call as the shrillness or the flatness, like how I told you, how much frequency is there. It is depending on the frequency. So you can see the first one, the frequency is more. So you say that it is a high pitch. If the frequency is less, you call it as a low pitch sound. Okay. To do this experiment, frequency will also depend upon the length of the substance that is vibrating. You can take any box, you can put a rubber band over it, okay, and you're going to put two pens or pencils below it. If you can see in the first picture, if you can see in the first picture, the distance between the two pens is less. Try to see what is the frequency. Okay, now you'll put the length more, as in the second one. The frequency will become different. You all are going to try it. Okay, just by looking at it, what do you think? Where the frequency will be more? The frequency will be more in the place where there is less length or where there is more length.
Ma'am, so that's the same concept we use in a guitar. So where you're holding it, the distance between.
Okay, I am. Wait, 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I am. I don't want more explanation. Just tell me in this, the frequency will be more in the first case or second case. Just tell me that.
I'm in
Ma'am,
the first case.
The first case, what will happen?
ma'am, the frequency will be more.
Yes, correct. The frequency will be more. So more the length, the frequency will be lesser. Lesser the length, the frequency will be more. You all are going to try this out. It is very easy. I'm very sure you can get all these supplies at home. Try it and try to see the frequency. Try to see the sound created by the first case and the second case. Okay, try to see it and try to tell me. So you're going to do 3 experiments. One I told you about the scale one, half
Yes, ma'am.
outside and half inside. Second one is about the spoon one. Okay. Third one is this pitch, and fourth one is to download the decibel meter. Okay. I'm not going to repeat it again. It is there in the video. You can hear it, and you have to note down along with what I'm saying. Okay. Y'all are now big kids. Chalo. Next. Now we're talking about the quality. Okay. So quality will tell you what kind of sound is there, how rich the sound is there. Okay. So it will, if you're able to distinguish between the sound very well or no. So if you can see the waves being created in different what do you call productions, in a tuning fork, in a particular voice, in a flute, in a guitar. See how the waves move up and down, correct? So the way the waves are moving up and down is what you're determining the quality. The quality is being determined by the type of distinguishing between the sounds. Okay, next. Now, what is music and what is noise? Something that is pleasant to the ears, you call it music. Something that is not pleasant to your ears, you call it as sound. For example, vehicle sound. Sometimes there are very big speakers going on. That will be noise for you. Okay, sound is something that is coming out from a musical instrument. So it will be very pleasing to you. Okay, now in the sound, we have got a concept of uh, fundamental tones and fundamental tone concept is there. Okay, so one wave is called as a fundamental tones. In that particular, how many frequencies occur, then overtones come, then harmonics come. Okay, so here if you can see, the first harmonic is 200 hertz, the second harmonic is 400 hertz, the third is 600 hertz, fourth is 800 hertz, fifth is 1000 hertz. Now they all are combining together, and what you are getting, the final form of wave. Okay, so that is what you call as your musical tones. So your musical tones are made up of all these different harmonics. Okay, so you will have one fundamental tone. Then in that fundamental tone, if there are many tones, then that those will become overtones, and those are called as harmonics. And every multiple will become harmonics. Okay, so this is how it works. So this is sound, and this is about tones and notes. Okay, so note is basically the last form that you can see. It's a mixture of many frequencies. When there is a particular frequency, you call it as a tone. When all those frequencies get mixed, you call it as a note. Okay, so whenever you're learning music, I'm very sure people who are learning music must be having more detail than me also on this. Okay, next. Now we talk about frequency. Okay, now there are some frequencies that we can hear and some frequencies that we can't hear. Okay, so the frequencies that we can hear is between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. So these range is called as the audible range. You can see in the picture, the frequency is 20 hertz. See how the waveforms are a little bit far, so they are representing that there are 20 hertz frequency. If that frequency is becoming more smaller means it's becoming more closer to each other, what you call it as probably representing 20,000 hertz. So that is your audible range, audible frequency range. Okay. Now the inaudible range is below 20 hertz and above 20 hertz. Okay, so below 20 hertz frequencies are called as infrasonic. Infra means less. And above are called as ultrasonic. So they are called as ultrasonic. Okay, so there is infrasonic and there is ultrasonic that you can't hear. And what you can hear is in between them, that is between 20 to between 20,000 hertz. Okay, that is your audible range.
Ma'am, how much
Animals
hertz?
speak in those speak in those range. That is, some animals speak in infrasonic, like cats and elephants, and dolphins, bats. They speak in the ultrasonic range. Okay, this is how it goes. Okay.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
ma'am, how much is 204 decibels? Is how much hertz?
That I will have to check and tell you, huh? That what is how the hertz, and there is a relationship between that hertz and decibel. I'm not really very sure, but we'll have to check it and let you know. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other questions up till now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Now we're talking about reflection of sound. What do you mean by reflection of sound? You know reflection, right? When something goes and hits back, bouncing back, like we saw in light, reflection of light in
Yes,
shiny
ma'am.
surfaces. Same way, sound also gets reflected back, and it is also following the same laws like light. There's angle of incidence, angle of reflection that is going to be same, and they all are lying in the same plane. Okay. We'll go to the next slide. We'll understand it much better. So here we have got angle of incidence, the green waves, and angle of reflection is the pink color. Okay. So that is your incident ray, your reflected ray, and your normal is what is that is drawn perpendicular. They all are lying in the same plane. First law. The second law, the angle. Can you see the angle between the normal and the incidence ray? That is the angle
Yes,
of incidence.
ma'am. Ma'am, it
That
is
is
90
equal to the
degrees.
angle of your reflection. Okay, so for that we do this experiment. What do we do the experiment? We take a production of sound. So we produce sound, probably say via stopwatch or by some tick tick sound. Okay, and we are adjusting it to a say incidence angle of, for example, 30 degrees, or say 45 degrees, or say 60 degrees from the normal. Okay, now we take another cardboard tube and we are hearing. We don't know, we keep it at unknown, like one person will be adjusting the sound and one person will be hearing it. So now what the person who is hearing it has to adjust the positioning of the cardboard tube. The position of the cardboard tube will be maximum. See, you will hear sound at different angles, but it will be maximum at the angle where it is same to the angle of the incidence. So if supposing you had adjusted it at 60 degrees from the normal, the incidence, the reflection at 60 degrees will be maximum loud voice or the maximum clear voice. That is how we can prove the law of reflection.
So, ma'am, the
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
clear? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, next. So basically, an echo is also a form of reflection of sound. Okay. Now, in reflection of sound, there are two types of reflection. One is that happens in certain distance less, and one that happens more than that distance. Okay, so when the distance between you and the reflecting surface is approximately 17 meters, if it is approximately 17 meters, what happens is that the sound is traveling through air. Like when you go to the mountains, those big mountains where you say there's an echo point, okay, they are more than 17 meters away from you. So what happens that your sound has to reach to the mountains and it has to come back to you. So that when the sound goes and comes back, there is no disturbance between the sound, and so you can hear it very well. You can hear a clear form of it, and that is what you call as an echo. So for an echo you require at least 17 meters distance between the production and the reflecting surface. Okay, now if you are in an empty room, okay, you go in an empty house, in an empty room, you you speak a little bit louder, you will again be able to hear your sound, but that time your sound is not very clear. Such a phenomenon is called as reverberations. Okay, it is called as reverberation. That is called as reverberation. Okay, so that is also a reflection of sound, but it is not an echo because the distance between the walls and your voice is not 17 meters. Okay, so for that echo to come very well, you have to have a distance of 17 meters. Okay, next. uh, as sound is getting reflected, some sound is getting absorbed also. So for the sound to get absorbed, you have to have the correct material to use. So if you see in the theaters, in auditoriums, or if you see in music where the music is being heard, where the music is being heard, so what will happen there? You will not be able to hear the sound outside the room. Why? Because whatever sound is happening is getting absorbed. So whenever you go to a theater, you will see that it is all packed with cloth material. Okay, so cloth is like a very good absorbent of sound. Different materials. One of it is cloth. Cloth is a very good absorbent. It absorbs the material, it absorbs the sound waves very fast. It will not allow it to get reflected. Okay, so basically when the sound is going from the production to where it is getting hitting, okay, that hitting material, if you're making of a material that is absorbent material, it will absorb the sound and the sounds will not be reflected again. So that is very important at certain places, like we spoke about auditoriums, or we spoke about places where music is being recorded. All those places, you don't need reflection of sound, you need absorption of sound, and that is how the material of that room has to be prepared in such a manner.
Ma'am, it is also there is also thermal put into it to pack it.
Yes, it is also thermally packed, correct. So that energy is basically getting transferred to heat energy. That sound energy gets transferred to heat energy, and that is why that material has to be of that thermal material. Okay, next. Where do we see a reflection of sound? Best example to see reflection of sound is, first example is your microphones, your megaphones, all those trumpets, shehnais. They're made so long that the sound is getting reflected. Okay. Even in the stethoscope, you can see how in the stethoscope, the sound that is coming from the heartbeat is traveling through that entire pipe. And how it is going, you can see in a zigzag position it is going. So the sound is continuously getting reflected in that particular pipe of the stethoscope, and then it is reaching to your ears. That is where you can see reflection of sound. You can also see reflection of sound in the auditoriums. So what happens is the designing of the auditorium is done such that, the roofs are made concave in nature, or there are certain convex structures given. So you can see in the first picture how the roof is concave, like a round shape, so that the sound is transferring well to all the levels, because in auditorium you have got different levels of people sitting. See how in the second picture also the sound from the speaker is reaching to each and every chair. That entire designing has to be taken into account before designing such a kind of a place. Okay, so this is where reflection of sound is very, very important, and we study reflection of sound, and then afterwards such a designing, such a kind of an architecture is being prepared. Okay, next. So any questions based on reflection, echo, anything?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, next. Now we are coming to the part that how the ear is working. Okay, I told you the sound is being produced somewhere, it is coming to your ear and you are hearing it. Our ear has got three parts: outer part, middle part, and inner part. Okay, the outer is where the sound is catching. The sound is catching by the outer ear. So your designing of the outer ear is such that all the sound will go maximum, all the sound will penetrate into the ear. The middle ear has a mechanism that we'll be studying how the mechanism works, that how that vibration of the sound outside is getting converted to vibration of the sound inside. And finally, the inner ear is where what is connected by nerves, by auditory nerves to your brains. That is what is how the three parts of the ear work. Okay, so your sound production, then propagation, then your outer ear is taking in all the sound, the middle ear is carrying out those vibrations, and your inner ear is transferring those vibrations into an impulse, a nerve impulse that is going to your brains. Okay, next. So here we have got three parts. The three parts of the ear are, so in the outer ear we have got the pinna and the ear canal. The inner part are made up of three, the middle part. There are three bones: malleus, incus, and stapes. The malleus is bigger, incus is slightly smaller, and stapes is the smallest bone of the entire human body also. So these three bones are there, and there's an inner ear that is made of cochlea. Cochlea is basically a fluid. It's kindly made of some special kind of a fluid. Okay, so these are the three parts of a middle ear. Besides hearing, the ear is also responsible for balance of the body. So the people who specifically, if you must be knowing someone in your house or someone, some relative must be having some balance problem, the disease is called as vertigo. So sometimes after getting up from some position, they cannot adjust themselves. So that happens because of there is no balance in your ear. Okay, next. So these are the parts of the ear, like we spoke about ear pinna outside and the ear canal, that is the outer ear. Okay, in the inner part you can see there where there is eardrum and ossicles. Ossicles are all the bones that I spoke about, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. Okay, so that is the middle ear. So outer ear is the ear pinna that you can see, the ear canal is there, and then that is the outer. The middle one is called as the eardrum, and the ossicles are the bones. Okay, and then inside the inner ear will be a cochlea that would be connected to your auditory nerves. Okay, if you can see in the video how the vibrations from outside are entering into the pinna, ear pinna. From there it is going into the ear canal. From the ear canal it is hitting onto the, see, it is enlarged to the eardrum. The eardrum is hitting the 3 bones. Okay, you can see in the magnified portion. The first bone, big one, is malleus. The second one is incus. And the third, like a ring kind of a structure, is the stapes. Okay, that vibration from the outside is going into the middle ear. It is going to the stapes. From the stapes, now it is going to the inner ear, that is the cochlea. The cochlea is a part that is filled with fluid, the round, like a shell kind of a part. Okay, that shell kind of a part is connected to your nerves, which is connected to your brains. Okay, this is the parts of the ear, and this is how the ear works.
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
from outside, whatever vibrations are coming are going to your, passing through the ear pinna, through the ear canal. It is going, the vibration is hitting your eardrum, which is very important. Then it is going to your 3 bones, that is the malleus, incus, and the stapes. From there it is going to cochlea, that is the inner part of the ear, and from there it is going and hitting the brain through the nerves. So cochlea is transferring this vibrations into nerve impulse, into nerves. Okay, next. So basically, who is an audiologist? A person who is going to do your testing is called as an audiologist. He uses special machines. I don't know if you all have any time in your school or somewhere, you all have been exposed to such kind of machines. They put it into your ear and then they check how much sound is going and coming back. They
No,
test
ma'am.
all this. Okay, that is called as an audiologist. Next.
Ma'am, there's one doctor which puts some kind of my like instrument in our ears, but we don't hear anything. It's only that he just puts it. He or she. I
Yeah,
don't
he
know
puts
what
it
that.
and that instrument detects. That is exactly who is an audiologist, and he'll be doing his work by those kind of sound waves. Some sound waves which you can't hear, but it does the work what it has to detect to hear how good you are hearing, how good the capacity of your hearing is.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now, how do we make sound? You all can put your hands on your throat, and as you speak, as you just not even speak, even if you gulp down something, you will be able to hear, you will be able to feel something moving in your throat, near your
Yes,
throat.
ma'am.
Okay, those are your vocal cords. Those vocal cords are which is helping us to speak. Okay, so I told you the vocal cords in the woman are shorter, so they produce a high pitched sound, and the vocal cords in men are longer, that is why they produce a low pitched sound. Okay, next. How do telephones transfer energy? Through wires. So here the telephones or any sound system, wherever the propagation of energy is happening through solids, through the wires only. So basically here there is a change of energy. So a microphone changes that sound energy into electrical energy. So we had seen transformation of energies. A loudspeaker will change electrical energy into sound energy, depending on what instrument you are taking. So there is always transfer of energies in such kind of instruments. Next. Telephones, you have your microphone and your speaker also, where from where you're hearing is a speaker, from where you're speaking is your microphones. That all is traveling through the wires. So here the propagation is happening through wires, that is through the solid medium. Okay, that is for the olden telephones. Next. Now we talk about mobile phones. What happens in a mobile phone? Here that mobile phone is getting transferred into a radio energy. That radio energy will go to a substation. It will go from there, it will come back to you. So when I'm right now speaking, my sound is going and getting converted into a radio wave kind of a form. From there it is coming to you in the form of a radio form. Okay, so this is how the mobile phones are working today. Mobile phones are all working on, they are all working in air. They're all working propagation through air, through your medium of air in the form of wave, that is your radio waves. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The we spoke about ultrasound. The ultrasound is about 20,000. Ultrasounds are very important. One way of ultrasound is to detect, to do ultrasound of the stomach, of everything, of, you know, if you've got any appendix or any kind of intestine problem, some stomach problem, the doctor will write a USG for you, ultrasonography. Especially for people who are pregnant, they write a ultrasonograph to see the child, if the child is okay, everything is perfect or no. So ultrasound has many uses. Okay, one use is this. The second use is next. I told you about sonar. Okay, so if you can see, the ship is sending ultrasound waves. Those ultrasound waves are traveling through the seabed. They go there and now they are reflecting back. So there is hitting and reflecting back. The sound waves go and they hit and come back. And because they come back, you can detect that, okay, it came back in 5 minutes. So if they came back in 5 minutes, the distance travel will be so much. So the bed is so close to us. If it comes back faster, then the ship can say, okay, the seabed is very close. Or for example, they can also detect some kind of glaciers also, that there is a glacier down, there is some kind of big obstruction down. So the ships can change their path. Such kind of use of ultrasound waves is known as sonar. Okay, this is very helpful for all the sailors. Okay, besides that, sound we know is helping us in musical instruments. Sound helps us to build, how I told you, architectural, how to design the wall, the the room of any place. You can design it using the sound concepts. And we obviously use sound systems. So sound systems are also based on that, if you know the sound well. Okay, next. Okay, there are many kind of musical instruments. There are some instruments that produce sound through air. Okay, so then they are called as reed instruments. There are some which makes when you hit a surface, a membrane. Then they are called as percussion instruments. If some sound is being produced by strings, those are called as string instruments. And if something is just air is being blown through some place, air or wind, is what you call as wind instrument. Example of reed instrument would be a harmonium. Instrument of a percussion would be like drums or a table where you just hit and sound is produced. String instrument examples would be your violin, your guitar, veena, all those. Wind instruments would be like a flute. Okay, so these are the types of musical instruments on different vibrations, different sound is produced. And that is how you have bands, your big bands. They combine all of this and they make a beautiful note out of combination of all of this in your movie songs everywhere. All this combination is giving you a good voice at the end. Okay, next. So we finished with the concept of sound. All the concepts of sound are done today, all new concepts for y'all. If you still feel you have doubts, you can ask me right now. If you want, you can go through the entire presentation once more. Today we took a little bit time extra, sorry for that, but I had to finish this today since you're starting your school, so I didn't want to miss out on any concepts that we don't finish off faster. Okay, so
No doubts,
any
ma'am.
doubts, anything,
Ma'am,
anyone else?
a keyboard.
Yes.
Ma'am, keyboard will be a reed instrument, right?
Yes, a keyboard will be a reed instrument, correct.
Ma'am, and even different musical instruments have different pitch. Like a drum's pitch would be pretty low, while a triangle's pitch would be pretty high.
Correct. Yes. Okay. So no more doubts, anyone?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
And
So
everything clear.
we'll end the class today. If you all have doubts, please go through the concepts once more. And if you have doubts, you can ask me tomorrow. Okay. See you all
Yes, ma'am.
tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.